Welcome back. You're watching Morning Express. It's time for your money. So we're going to be talking about how to save this festive season, how to spend and save to have enough for January. So next to me is Marvin Talam, who is a lawyer and also single. Welcome to the show. And next to him is Catherine Gitari, who is a pastor and also a school matron, and the wife to Reverend Maura Francis, who is a reverend. And then finally next to him is Caleb Mugendi, who is an economist. Welcome all of you to the show. So I'll start briefly. You can tell us what is your experience in terms of saving for festivities, Marvin?
My experience in terms of saving for festivity is rather quite challenging because you find that at this point, I'll start first of all by giving an overview.
Okay.
Of what we mean when you talk about saving. And the overview is premised on one thing. One of the most quoted person when it comes to this festive season is one Winston Churchill, when he says that at this festive season, it is a moment rather than just marrying and having fun.
Yeah.
It's also a moment in which we should actually reflect. So at the point of reflection is where the challenge comes in. What are you reflecting upon? You're reflecting upon gifts. You are reflecting upon decoration. You are reflecting upon your friends. You are reflecting upon party, considering that you've indicated very clearly I'm single.
Yes.
So that basically means that you're reflecting on a couple of these things.
Yeah.
So the challenge is from an advisory point of view in which we work on an assumption that what we earn is not what we rather earn is not what we rather save.
Yeah.
And that is the point that actually the experts will tell you from their point of view that what we need to do.
Okay.
And that is basically
all
what
right, Catherine, first of all, are you a mother?
I am a mother of 3 girls.
All right, so you're a mother of 3. I believe your experience should be different from Marvin, who is single. What is your experience when it comes to saving for festivities?
No, it has not been tough, very easy. It has been tough, especially when I was bringing up the firstborn.
Yeah.
But for the secondborn, I had known. For the firstborn, you know, you are just learning.
Yeah.
But for the secondborn and the thirdborn, I've been able to organize myself better. And it has not been easy. But when you know what you want to do, not going by emotions.
Yeah.
Because many a times we go by emotions during the festives. We feel we want to make people happy, we want to be merry, but you are not counting what you have. So you want at times to please people, which is so difficult.
All right.
Yes.
I'll come to you, Francis.
Yes.
You're a reverend,
Yes.
you're a father, and father of 3. When do you start saving for Christmas?
As a person,
Yeah.
it's advisable to start saving at the beginning of the year. However, personally,
Yeah.
I have made a lot of mistakes in the past.
Yes.
And I found myself coming to November without anything, and sometimes even December, until, as she said, I started learning. Currently, I plan myself. So the first thing is that I know that December is coming. I plan myself early enough, and I don't go beyond my income.
Yeah.
I run within my income.
All right.
So I do it early. It is preferable that you can start in January, but sometimes we are forced not to start that time because of some other obligations. But definitely, if we are going to spend in December, we have to do it early enough.
All right.
Yes.
Caleb, you're an economist. What is the #1 mistake we Kenyans or everyone make when it comes to spending during festive season?
Well, I think mainly people don't live within their budget. You know, you might make a budget, say I'm going to spend this amount during the festivities, but most times we find ourselves exceeding that budget. And that's one of the major reasons why we overspend all that we have. And then come January, we're in the January that
January.
we keep on talking about.
Yeah.
So I think is that overspending over your limit because you'll say that I've set up this amount of money, but if I do have any extra, let's say in my bank account, and there's still festivities going on, then I always have the urge to continue to spend that.
So then how do we do it? You know, right now I want to spend, you know, Christmas is coming, but then I also want to save. How should we go about it?
First of all, you really have to get discipline in terms of sticking to that budget. When you have that budget, you have to stick to it, and don't overspend. There are many ways for, you know, talking about discipline is easy, but actually following through is a bit harder. But there's many ways that you can discipline yourself in order not to come to January when you don't have the finances. Like, you can make some expenses, pay some expenses in advance. The major ones mainly being school fees for people who have children, rent. You can pay a month's advance rent in December before you spend that money. So those are some of the things that you can like tease out from your December paycheck and try to keep your expenses under control.
All right, Marvin, I'll come back to you.
Thank you.
You're single.
Yes.
You've factored in bringing gifts, you've factored in partying. Are all these things necessary?
At the festive season, they're necessary.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I think we can do without, or am I wrong? I stand corrected.
Yeah, but that depends again on what are your reasons.
Yeah. All right, Catherine, when it comes to the challenges that you faced from time to time, from the firstborn, the secondborn, the thirdborn, you're a mother. There is the factor in of cooking, you know, it's a celebration. How was it for you, the challenges?
One thing, I thank God because I've always been able to live myself, my life. I don't live Mama Juliet's life, I live my life.
Yeah.
So when it comes to these festives, I use what I have. If it's chapatis, if they are there, I cook. If they are not there, I remain with my rice. So it's discipline.
Yeah.
You just decide it's my life, it's my children, it's my people. Whom am I to please? Am I able to go beyond myself? I walk with what I have.
All right.
Yes.
Francis,
Yes, please.
Marvin says you have to give gifts. There's the issue of decorations. Is it the same case for you? Because decorations can always be kept and, you know, used next year. But then the issue of giving gifts, do we really have to give gifts?
Well, it depends on priorities.
Yes.
Because me now, when I'm bringing my children together currently, well, I want them happy today because maybe I'm able to bring them together and maybe I can be able to give them the gifts today. That time before, I was not able to do that, and therefore I had to shelve that. So it depends on the priorities that we have. Another thing, what is the idea of the festivities? Like us Christians, we know we are celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. That is the bottom line. Then there are the expectations of people. What are they expecting us to do? Now, can you please everyone? You can't. If you can't, then live your life as she says.
Yeah.
Because we have a life, and here comes December, and next year we'll have also a December. So if we did not do very well in this December, then we can do it in the next December.
Yeah.
The most important thing, as the economist said, we are heading to January. There are bills to pay, and there are people that are expecting to be paid. Maybe there is school fees, and there is rent and all that. We have to focus on our obligations as parents and focus actually what is the real meaning of Christmas festive season. Therefore, my focus as a person and even as a father is that gifts maybe, I can even give gifts and give them at lower costs. Am I able to do that?
Yeah.
And I give priorities to my budget. There is that budget. Is it really necessary for me to go for gifts this time? I understand the single ones. They have to give gifts. They just have to do
They're
that.
hunting.
Yes. And they have to go maybe to plan. You know, for them, when they are planning to go out to Mombasa, to Masai Mara, to Dubai, they will have to do that.
Yeah.
That is fine for them. But if you are not in that scope of get that income, then there is another level for you, and you have to be contented with that level and plan according to that level.
All right, Caleb, you know, this year has been, well, one in a million, yeah? We know so many people keep on claiming that they're broke because of the tough times, political uncertainty in the country. And at this time, let's say you have little left because you've used your savings because, you know, there was that period when things were thick for people. So how then will you manage, you know, now that you don't have money, all the savings that you had, well, it's a tricky situation. So what can people do?
Well, I like what Francis and Catherine actually said.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep up impressions and keeping up with your neighbors, your friends, what they do, because you can find maybe your friends have planned something for Christmas, they want to go to a vacation. You don't also have to do that. You have to live within your means.
Yeah.
Saying living within your means also quite subjective, because if you have bigger means, you'll also want to, you're able to do more with what you have. If you have lesser, you have to try and do what you can with the less that you have.
All right. So initially, you're supposed to break down what you can do. So we'll start with the budget of, let's say, 30 to 50,000, let's say, in a month. So what can you do? What should you save?
What I want to maybe try to tease out is it doesn't really matter how much it is that you earn. It's looking at living within what you make and trying to get the most out of what you make.
All right.
So let's say you have a gross income. Let's say net after you've already paid your taxes and whatnot. You have your net income of X. So what do you do with this? You have a lot of bills to pay.
Yes.
But first of all, once you get your net income, the first thing that you have to try and do is you have to try and save from your income. You know, you save between 10 to 15% of what you make, of what you take home. So 10 to 15%, this is in. 10 to 15% is in savings.
All right. So if it's 50,000, you save 5,000.
You save 5,000.
All right.
So then after you've saved, then now you come to your expenses. You have a lot of expenses. Let's say you have rent, you have food, you have transport, and the rest. Let's say between these expenses, they take the remaining. From here, maybe you can get like 70% of your net income in expenses.
All right.
So then the remaining 15% or so, 15-20% of what you make, now you can use it for other ventures, like let's say you want to try and invest. Let's say you want now to start gifting. You want to start a business. You can use some of this money. Let's say you also want to gift, do more with during this festive season. So now this is where this comes. So this is around 20%. But the most important of all these is because expenses, you know, you're trying to live within your means. As you make more, your expenses will also rise almost proportionally. But the main important one here is savings, so that you don't get caught up with the expenses.
What about emergencies? I mean, we don't expect them, but these things happen. So where does it? Because I can see we're already at 100%. So when it comes to emergencies, where do you factor it in?
Well, if you can actually break down your savings into, we said 10 to 15%, so maybe 5% of that can go into an emergency fund. Right. We usually recommend that you set aside close to 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses in a safe account, so that if something were to happen to your condition, you're still well cushioned. Between 3 to 6 months. So this over time it grows as you're earning 10 to 15%. There's also this other part of others where you can actually, if there's something unexpected that might happen to you, you can dip into your other expenses. One of the best things that we say in terms of if you can't increase like your income is that you can always manage your expenses. 70% of your net income in actual expenses is actually really high. If you can manage to live and bring this one down, you say because it's the festive season, that's why it's actually really high. Okay. But if you can bring this down, you'll have more to allocate to others, more to save, maybe even have investments somewhere. so they can flow into the other categories.
All right. So, you know, Kenyans love partying. That is without no doubt.
Yeah.
And most of us, one, you tend to live in a house. You know, housing is really expensive in Nairobi. So you will tend to live in a house that is way past half of your salary. You'd still want to go to rave. You'd still want to, you know, enjoy all the good things in life. What kind of advice can you give to such people?
Well, as you said, we're trying and be frugal, try to live within your means. There are many ways that you can actually do this. The housing is expensive, but doesn't mean that you have to live alone. You can cohabit with a friend.
It's not easy.
Yeah, you can cohabit with a friend. You can actually wake up earlier. Maybe if it's some times of transport.
Yeah.
If you wake up early, maybe you can pay less for your transport, cook your own food so that you bring down your food expenses, and these small things that add to bring down your expense percentage of your budget. And always try to budget, but always put in that savings component. That's one of the major things that most people really forget to do.
All right. Marvin, let me come back to you real quick as we wind up. Do you always succumb to peer pressure when it comes to partying? Because most of our youths do not know how to say no, which is the one thing we face. So do you have friends who have succumbed to pressure before, and how was it for them?
For me, my experience with regard to succumbing to peer pressure, I'll answer in the affirmative. I do not succumb to peer pressure. But when it comes to maybe other people that I know friends who actually, peer pressure comes in many ways, depending on the kind of incentive that people will try and bring on board.
Yeah.
But it's always advisable that you should always stick to your principle and the values that the people always speak about.
Yeah.
Because when you stick to those values, then it becomes easy for you to work within what my brother is alluding to. And that is exactly what we should always be doing.
All right, Catherine and Francis, do you guys go for holidays? And when do you start booking your holidays? I'll start with you, Catherine. But since you're answering for both of you.
Yes. Now, funny enough.
Yes.
Our holidays are always a surprise.
Okay.
He has been doing it to me.
All right, that's interesting.
So in the morning, I'm just told, pack 2 dresses, yours and mine. Let's go.
All right.
And we go. Last trip, we went to Moranga.
Ah, okay.
Yes. There's a very nice hotel in Moranga around Keno. So we went around Moranga, the places I don't know. He took me to Kamahua Girls, a place I've been missing, because since I left Kamahua Girls in 85, I had never gone back. Okay. And I was always telling him, I've been dreaming of my school. So he took me to Kamahua Girls. All right. It was awesome.
So Francis, when did you start planning for these things? Because if they're random, when do you even start doing it?
Well, as he says, that now that I know it's my duty, then I do it within, as I said, within the year, but early. The most important thing I want to mention here is that, I usually do motivational speaking, and I tell people that for anyone to succeed, you have to choose to succeed. It's a choice. And therefore, even for the planning, and even for that good holiday, you have to decide that you want it, make a choice, what do you want, and then plan for it. Now, it of course calls for discipline and some cost, because it is not going to be easy. But this discipline is what we are trying to tell people. We must have some discipline, so that then, like you are saying, your income might not be big, but you live within that means, and you plan, like he has taught us, get a percentage, plan it there. There are some emergencies also. And at the same time, there are extras. So you plan and give a provision for extras, because these things come along the way. For us, as we go for holidays, okay, we are not so much holiday people, but we do, because I know she will still say, I also want to go like the others one day. But I personally take it upon myself that after some time I take her. However, during Christmas holidays like this one, it's about the real purpose of Christmas for us. that is Christ is born.
Yes.
And we must tell the world that.
All right.
Yes, and actually he must be seen as born in our hearts.
All right.
Yes.
Caleb, even as we wind up, as we conclude, the issue of booking for holidays, you know, that those times which are off-peak. So if you book earlier, then maybe you can get cheaper rates. How should people go about it?
Well, right now, as we know, owing to the festivities now peak demand, so we're in high season. So in high season, if demand is up, also the prices will go up. So if you book earlier, you stand the chance of getting a discount, which is favorable because you'll bring down the expense of your vacation. Also, if you also want to opt to go to during the low season, you might also get more value for the money that you'll spend.
Okay.
Also, what I'll also want to bring out is there are a lot of offers and promotions that are usually run across this period. Maybe if you buy in bulk, you get rewarded. Maybe if you have a shopping card or something, you get loyalty points and the rest. You can also take advantage of those offers at this time to stretch your budget, if I can say, getting more value for what you had budgeted for. So apart from that, if you try to bring down your costs by booking early or going over the low season and stretching your budget, keeping disciplined in terms of your expenditure, and always remembering to save and living within your means, I think then you should have a good festive season and very full January.
Full January, yeah? Not in January. No. All right, thank you there. You want to?
Yes. Okay. I wanted to comment on something briefly. As you've said, you're winding up.
Yes.
This festive season, God has given us the power of choice.
Yes.
And most of the time we end up looking at it, we start blaming God when January sets in. We start saying, oh, you know, it is the will of God that now things are getting tougher on me. but how we exercise that power of choice is ultimate, is actually what will come thereafter. So let us exercise that power of choice wisely, so that when January sets in, then it will not be January, but it will be a good time for our kids and all of us together with our friends and families.
All right, thank you there. Marvin Talam, who is a lawyer and also single, Mr. and Mrs. Maura Gitare, Catherine Gitare, and Reverend Maura Francis, thank you very much. And finally, Caleb Mugendi, who is an economist. Thank you very much for joining us here on Your Money. That's where we conclude Morning Express. Thank you for being with us since 5 a.m. I hope you have a great day ahead.